Well, hello and good, beautiful Tuesday. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. How's everybody doing? I hope you're well. If anybody's got on here yet, maybe nobody's hooked up. But when you come on here and you watch this on the rerun or on the whatever the loop or whatever it is on the channel, I hope you're doing well at that time. Well, my run-in there, lead-in, has the track to Yes I Know that I used to sing a long time ago. But I love playing that song, so let's just get with it tonight with Yes I Know That I Know. That's a good old hymn book song, been around a long time ago. I heard it first time by the Gaither Vocal Band singing it, and I said, man, that's a great song. And I went and bought the CD. No, that's different song. I almost think about what Three Bridges did. I went and got the CD on to learn that song. But Gaither Vocal Band, I think, several people sang it, but it's a great old song. Great, great, great. Got the old D16E off the wall here. Thought I'd strum it a little bit tonight. And I hadn't played this in a long time. Amazing Grace. What a great song. Wonderful song. Well, I guess we're on because my supervisor hadn't come to the door and shook her head no. So that might be a good thing. Of course, the last time I saw her, she was eating supper. She was, I don't need Messenger. I need, what do I need? Need my Facebook page right there. I just came right up on the screen, didn't I? Hey, grandson Drew, how you doing, bud? Glad to see that you jumped on here. I don't know, there's no comments yet. Nobody's had anything to say, but I see my eldest grandson that's making me an old grandpa. He's on here, so good. You need to get your guitar out and practice up, buddy. You just quit on that thing. You got a good guitar, a good Fender guitar, set up right and everything. You need to play some more. And, anyway, well, this year, most of you know I'm getting old. I know it pretty well myself. I'll be 79 this year in September. That's only 1 year from 80. And somebody might think I'm a little crazy for doing what I'm fixing to do, but we have a motorhome. We had 2 or 3 years. It's a great motorhome. It has run great, done good. And we drove it on about a week's tour last fall, Pennsylvania. And I noticed up through West Virginia, up through the hills, it's a little harder struggle. The engine had to work a little harder. And they don't ever use any oil. It's a good engine, but that particular trip, it drank a quart of oil from that strain to pull those West Virginia hills. And I thought if we do the dates that I'm hoping to do this year, I just don't want to do them by the motorhome if I can help it. Because it seems like motorhomes are more fragile or more plastic or whatever. You slam a door and something breaks. Every time you constantly fixing stuff on a motorhome. They're great to have. And I've owned 14 buses over the year. My dad bought our first bus. I was 16 years old when we first had a bus in my driveway. And we had that bus until Daddy sold it. We bought a diesel pusher. And when Linda and I married, we had that bus. And when we left Daddy, he was still driving it. And of course, I went Windy Valley, we had the Bluebird, and it broke down one time, and I went and got a real bus, a GM bus from Calvin Cooper Coach. I said, Calvin, I need a bus, borrow a bus for like a couple of days. Seats in it. But at least it was a place that the girls could throw their bags and their clothes and everything and stretch out in the seat. And so we got to talking about it. And I told Wendy, I said, you could sell this Bluebird and have enough to buy a bus like this to come out and not spend any money. He said, well, check it out. And his wife, Melba, he mentioned it to her, and Melba said, you're not buying no used bus. You don't need no used bus to tear up all the time. If you're going to buy a bus, you need to buy a new one. So we did. Wendy went to the bank and got the money and wrote a check. They didn't write a check. They made him out a cashier's check for, I forget how much it was now. I used to know. But I flew to Pontiac, Michigan, picked up a brand new 1973 GMC 4108. They call that a Buffalo. We drove it for 2 or 3 years and had a little mishap in an ice storm. And I flew in 1980, in January 1980. This year, 26 years ago. I flew back to Pontiac, Michigan with my buddy Garland Robinson being hit. I went up there and picked up a brand spanking new 40-foot GMC with plywood floor, nothing in it, a steering wheel and a driver's seat. And we drove that back home, and Wendy drove that bus until he passed away. He rushed the rest of his singing career. And so I've had Daddy's bus, I've had a couple of Wendy's buses, and when I left Wendy, I got my first bus. I personally have owned 14 buses. And so about a month or so, maybe 6 weeks, longer than that, back a pretty good while ago, I saw a bus come up on eBay. And I started reading the description of it. And I called the guy. There's a seated bus, and a 45-footer, which I'm not all that fond of. I like the 40-foot coaches, but the older buses are hard to find. And I talked to the guy, and some of you don't know anything about buses. You see these people running forever. Jeff Easter, over 1,000,000 miles. Rhonda Vincent, I saw her doing a video one time. Our bus was turned over. She said our bus is fixed to be new. It turned over 1,000,000 miles. And so 1,000,000 miles is nothing for a bus. MCI builds their buses. It's a 3 million mile cycle is what they call it. A bus will still run after it with changing the engines and transmissions out. The chassis will still last over 3 million miles. They're made to last forever. And so the description on this said the bus had 539,000 actual miles on it. 539,000, that's half of 1,000,000. Every bus we've owned has had over 1,000,000 miles. We've never had a brand new one. Over 1,000,000 miles. This one had 539,000 miles. And so I just called the guy. Nobody was bidding on it. He had a pretty good price on it. And we talked about it, and he said that it was traded in from a company out in Texas. It didn't do a lot of running up north in the snow and ice and the potholes, and it wasn't shook apart. It was a southern bus out of Texas, and that company traded a fleet back into MCI on new buses. And this bus had 531,000 miles, or something like that, 530. I have to get the figure to see. Anyway, they traded it back, and they said it was like a new bus inside and out. Well, MCI, if they were going to buy something to stand by it for 500,000, even knowing it would go 1,000,000, they pulled the engine transmission, put a new engine, new transmission in it. And the funny thing, the guy told me that MCI forgot to tighten the drive line on it, and the drive shaft slung out of it and busted with the transmission part of the case or something, and the whole drive line gone. So he put all new drive line, all new joints. So the new drive line, but right now, that was 30,000 miles. He's put 30,000 miles. He bought it right before COVID, and the deal that he was going to use that bus for got shut down by COVID and never did come back. And so he's got 9 other buses, and this bus is just sitting, costing him, sitting on the lot. And he made me a deal. I won't even tell you how low it was. I just say that it's lower than any average used car. And he made me a deal on it. And I've been trying to get up there for about 4 weeks in Ohio where he's at. It's been 0 and 3 below. Week 4 last, I called up there and said, we just got 15 inches of snow and it's 0. I said, well, we'll talk next week. And so anyway, it's a MCI DL3. I mean, D model, long, 3-axle with 539,000 miles on it. That's like a new bus. And so Linda and I are heading out to Ohio tomorrow evening. So, late tomorrow evening. We're going to pick it up Thursday morning and head back home here with it. And it's got to be an interior built in it. I've built a half a dozen interiors, the buses or more. I don't know how many, had 14 buses. And it's got to have an interior done. Well, it'll take me a while to do that. I can't do what I used to do. My arthritis, my strength, my heart issues, can't breathe, all the things that I have to deal with. It's not going to be a 2-week, have a bus ready to put interior in. It might take me 3 months to take the seats and package racks out, who knows. It may take me a year. If I live another year, it may take me a year to even get started on interior. I don't know how long it'll take, how I'm going to do. And if I don't make it another year, Linda's got another investment that she can put on Marketplace and put the money in her pocket or in her checking account. So there you go, bus number 15. It's going to be on the way. So y'all pray for us as we head out tomorrow evening. That way you make our trip up to Martinsburg, Ohio. It's 400 miles from here. 400 miles, it's not bad. It's like going to Sunday school back. 400 miles is nothing, is it? That's the Goodman song right there. Beautiful song. Let's see if anybody has come by my page and just accidentally stopped. Let's see. Says live. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to be alive. Ray Snyder, how you doing, buddy? And you going to Chillicothe, Ohio next week? Chillicothe is right up in the middle of the state there. Oh, I played a fair there with Wendy 100 years ago. Chillicothe Fair, a long time ago. Martinsburg, if you go right out of here, we don't have to deal with 75 and all that up through Kentucky or 85, 95 up through, there we go, just right through the country here on 74 Interstate. We live just, or 40 and 74 run right here. It's 2 miles to 40 and it's 5 miles to 74. They run together. But we'll pick up 74 Interstate and run up to 77, up to Whitfield, Virginia, and pick up 81 and circle around. And then when we get over to a few miles, we'll turn off and go up toward Bluefield, West Virginia, right straight up 77, the old West Virginia Turnpike, all the way up through, what's the name of that town? Charleston. Charleston, West Virginia. We used to play there for Sonny Simmons years ago. Boy, we had some big crowds in Charleston, West Virginia. And we'll go through Charleston on up, and where Interstate 90 crosses, if you turn left on 90 like we will, you'll be going back toward Columbus and go over there. It looks like it's on the map. It's about 30 miles, and take a little little country road or state route up to Martinsburg, Ohio. That's where it is. It's GPS mileage says I think it's 410 miles or something like that. Just one said it was 390 something one route, but the way we're going is right at 400 miles. Anyway, and well, my Lord, Randy McElreath, good Lord. I'm glad to see you're still alive, Randy, because if you passed away and went on to be with the Lord, we wouldn't have no way of knowing it, because there's nobody that would know that you passed away up here in North Carolina. You know, we moved to North Carolina, Randy. Randy's my second cousin. He's his daddy and my daddy were cousin buddies. In fact, when my daddy started a country group back in the 60s, Randy's daddy, Rufus, a good singer, sang with Daddy. And back in the old days, Randy's daddy had an airplane. He had a Comanche 180. I remember that plane. It's a 4-seat passenger plane. And when I bought my first bus, after I left Wendy Bagwell the first time, me and my brother Virgil and Randy's daddy Rufus took his plane and flew us to New Bern, North Carolina, to pick up a bus. That was something. That was back in the early 80s, 82, 83, along in there somewhere, that Randy's pop flew us to North Carolina. Randy, it's so good to see you on here, buddy. And while you were talking about issues, I remember one of the first issues are buses. Well, yeah, I can't get my glasses on. I said issues, talking about buses. Yeah, I remember that first bus. There were 47 Flex. Gasoline, had a Buick engine in it. Boy, that was something. If I ever write my book, there's going to be a chapter about that old Flex bus and pulling off the radiator cap and it blowing away out and blowing, and me jumping out and it blowing hot, steamy water across my shoulder and all this stuff. There's a lot to be in that book. I talk, well, it's my program. I'm talking to my buddies and my friends, but Randy, it was funny. We got that bus and we struck out to North Carolina from Georgia to play at a church up there. And I was 16. I was 16 years old. And I didn't know nothing about air brakes, nothing like that, or maybe I just forgot. And so we got to the church that we was going to play at, and Daddy pulled way up the street about a half a block where there's a parking place and just kind of edged the wheels back against the curb, you know, and it checked the whole handful of handbrake. But he pulled up against the curb, and we went in, had singing and everything, and everything went just well and good. Well, when it was over, Daddy was talking to the preacher and all this, so we got all the PA stuff. Me and Virgil got everything wrapped up and was at the back door there ready to take it out. And I thought, well, I'm a smart guy. I'm 16 years old. I know a lot now. I can bring that bus down here. And so I walked up the street and got that bus, hit that starter, that fired right up, and I turned that steering wheel, got away from the curb and put it in reverse. And I started to ease back down the street. And when I reached over with my right foot to that left pedal, the brake pedal, there was nothing there, zero. And all of a sudden that thing started getting faster and faster. And I'm going down that hill in reverse with no brakes. And so I took my right foot and I still had my left foot on the brake foot, and I was revving that engine up. I put it out of gear where I could take my foot off the clutch. And I was revving that engine up just as hard as it'd go to make that air compressor built up and up. And just before I went past the church door, and just before I got to the intersection where it was at, I got up enough air to put on brakes and stop it. And that was a scary adventure. I don't think I've ever told anybody about that. They think, man, you must have been crazy, backing the bus down the hill with no air brakes. But that was the first lesson learned on a bus. And so I think my daddy happened to walk out the door just about the time I went by. I don't remember what all took place, but I did get it stopped and pulled back up there, and we got loaded and headed out. And then we got down going back home, and we got past Charlotte to Gastonia. I tell you about the radiator. Kept running, trying to run hot going up to North Carolina. And we stopped in Gastonia, and we found a guy that had a shop down there. I think his name was Mr. Gibson, or my Gibson, North Carolina, I think his name. But he had a shop there, and he pulled the bus inside, and it was steaming and everything. And he said, I got a guy that works on buses. He does my work. So he's pretty sharp. They call him Greasy. Said, I'll call him, come over here and look at it. And so he called the guy, and about 30 minutes the guy showed up, and Greasy was the right name. He was about 5 feet tall, 100 pounds, and greasy from head to toe. He had been in, out, and under and through buses for like 2 weeks in that pair of pants. And he climbed up there and checked a few things, and he said, I believe you got a blown head gasket. He said, for everything I can see, he said, I can fix it. And so that gentleman let us stay there in his garage. He locked it up at night, and we stayed on the bus. We had bunks and an ice box and all that. And he had a bathroom there. It just worked out good. This is when was it? 1963, 64, 63, 64, something like that. And he let us spend the night. And Greasy took the head off of that old engine and put a new head gasket on it, cleaned up everything on it, tuned it up, did everything to it, worked on it half of that night, and then come back and worked on it half the next day. And when we backed it out of that shop, that old Buick straight eight engine was purring like a kitten. And Daddy took care of it, and we drove that thing for, I guess I was 16. And when I was 20, I was 20. 4 years later, Led and I were dating, and she went to North Carolina. Her mama actually let her go on a trip on the bus with us for the weekend. I was surprised out, she was too. But we were still driving that bus, and after Linda and I got married, I remember we traded it in for, or sold it, and bought a GM diesel, 4-cylinder diesel, and drove that thing. Of course, I left Daddy after that and went with Wendy Bagel. Long story. But boy, I tell you, I've thought many times about writing a book about my bus adventures and everything that went along. But right now, that was Daddy's bus. I didn't buy that one. That was Daddy's. And then I went with Wendy, and Wendy paid for them, but I picked up 2 brand new buses at the factory at Pontiac, Michigan, with 0 miles on. One of them had 7 miles, I think. And then when I left Wendy, I wanted an MCI. I've always wanted an MCI bus. But I wound up buying a GM, and there was a time or two that I took Wendy and the girls on trips. Their bus would break down, and he'd call me, and I'd take my bus and run a trip or two for him. That happened several times. And then I had the GM, then I bought a Buffalo, then another Buffalo, then another Buffalo, and then another Buffalo. I think I had 3 or 4. And then after I left Wendy in 1980, in 1981, I got my first MCI bus, and I'm an MCI guy. These guys can like those pretty shiny Bravos. I see my friends all the time on Facebook sitting somewhere, and a truck stop broke down on the side of the road, broke down with a Prevost. And I am not a Prevost fan. I owned one for a year, and I was nervous the whole year I had it. Guy drove it a long time. I consulted to it with no trouble. But anyway. All right, well, I've said a lot and not played a whole lot tonight. And sharp there. Oh, arthritis. I curse you, arthritis. You know, in those days when the one angel that's going to cast Satan into the bottomless pit, one little angel's going to push him over. I hope I'm standing there and say, this one's for arthritis. you sing it. God has nothing to do with arthritis. We blame it on old age, but it's I won't call it a treat. It's a curse from the devil, straight from the pits of hell. And I'm still believing God that in my old age, my fingers and arms and elbows, I took a radiation treatment, low dose radiation on my shoulders yesterday doing another one in the bar, like I did my knees, and hoping it's going to ease some of the pain and mobility. It better, because I'm fixing to start on a bus interior. Anyway, so let's see. Let me find out what I want to punch on this thing here. I just looked at it and saw it, and I know who holds tomorrow. Isn't that a good old song? I don't even know who wrote it, but they wrote a good one. It's one of my favorites to play, old songs. And Linda and I should be back from Ohio Thursday evening sometime. It's not but a 6-hour drive from here. And we'll leave Thursday. We'll get out of the hotel Thursday morning, get on over there. They'll have it inside. It's supposed to be still pretty cold up there, but in the 20s. But they'll have it in the shop. They have 9 other buses, so they have a shop and a mechanic and everything. They have it in the shop, warmed up and everything. And we've already talked about them checking tires and air pressure and belts and oil and liquids and everything. Make sure everything's ready to run. And so we won't be long giving them money and getting paperwork and getting out the door. I said that to say this, they're having a Valentine's get together. I don't know what all they're going to do. It's not going to be a banquet or a supper thing, but they're going to do it at our church we've been going to here. And they asked us if we'd sing a few songs. Well, I saw a post that they put on Facebook that they said Charlie and Linda Beatenbo will be singing. And I told Linda, I said, I haven't talked to anybody about this. What's the deal on this? And Linda said, well, I did. And I said, well, we can't do that because we'll be gone. And then it worked. We were going to leave on Thursday and come back Friday. But it worked out that we'd leave a little earlier and leave on Wednesday and Thursday. So we'll take this old Martin and a few things and do a Valentine little picking for them Friday night. It's a good thing. I was encouraged. I sent out a bunch of newsletters to pastors and people I hadn't seen in a long time because we've kind of had a few years here that just not a lot going on. And I had a pastor from way up in Pennsylvania, trying to think, not Mount Vernon, anyway, up above Shamokin Dam. We've been with him several times over the years. A great gentleman there at what's the church called? That's another thing about getting old. Anyway, what's that name of his church honey, up on the mountain? Mount Deliverance. Yeah, we go into Mount Deliverance sometime. He want to know. He said, "You gonna come up here this summer sometime?" And he said, "We sure want you to come back." So we're going to, and we're gonna be doing some. It may take us a day or two to get there and a day or two to get back, but we'll get it done. That's for sure. And almost got into a microphone. It's been pretty quiet tonight. I watched a program from last week, and I was very annoyed that I had that microphone over here and just kept getting it. And so the day I ran my earbuds, they're kind of loose. They're not pulling off my ears all the time. I run them down my shirt and down to my receiver over there. And then my hair's out of place. Good Lord. And I don't know which way to push it. There you go. And I run the mic under my shirt too and brought it out and put it up here away from the strap. And so it has been pretty quiet tonight. Well, what this program mainly is for is to exercise the fingers and keep the fingers that are 78 years old. They're older than they've ever been. And I don't have my fingers injured. I played all my life and played for offerings and money and whatever. And some musicians insure their hands, or if they're a piano player, they insure their hands, or whatever, or if they're a guitar player, insure their hands. I've never done that, but thank God they're on Medicare now. So anyway, well, let's see here. I'm looking at a page here. Then I'm going to see if I can play this and get out of here and let you go. Appreciate you coming by, And catch you later.